We are here on Refining Change with Carolina Doldán. I am so happy to have her here. When I was in the middle of my organizational change management certification, she popped up on my feed on LinkedIn, and I totally stalked her and wanted to get her in this call today and really just pick her brain about change. So welcome, Carolina.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure.
I'm happy you're here. So I want to understand your agency. You have an agency called We Are Change.
Yeah, our name is Change Agency. In our website, it says We Are Change. We use that all the time. We are an agency specialized in internal communication, organizational culture, and we all the time go through change with our clients that are merging or that are acquiring agile methodologies or are doing any kind of change. So we don't have to we don't have to see that change as something painful. Instead of that, we make it as it is something of a transition to an evolution to that company. So we have a methodology to do that. And we go through that methodology to get change to a success point.
Right. I mean, like with the world changing right now, I see you definitely having a powerful position in the industry. When you hear the phrase refining change, what comes to mind for you?
Well, the first thing in my mind is a clearer, more polished vision of that transformation, and then consistent baby steps. That's how I approach it in my work and in my personal life too. I take any challenge and I break it down into many small pieces so I can tackle one part at a time every day. And I do that for two reasons. First is the strength of mind, being persistent and methodical. And second, it's also a limitation I have. Like I can't focus on one single task for too long. So small steps keep me moving forward.
Okay, so it sounds like it's something you've had lived through personally in your work then.
Well, here we advise companies on how to communicate more effectively with employees while also building healthier workplaces. And the truth is, you can't change culture overnight. That's not doable. So that's why we commit to a process that moves through different stages: endorsement, awareness, understanding, and adoption. And each stage comes with messages, initiatives, training, and the outcome is always growth, a shift in mindset for everyone, for everybody that is involved.
I love that. The goal is growth. The goal is growth, because with change, you really need to grow. You really need to overcome, let go of some things within you, outside of you,
Definitely.
to properly just move that into an evolutional mindset. I love that. Okay. And then so when you were talking about the steps of change and the process of how you guys communicate, how you move your clients through the journey of working with you, how would you explain change literacy to someone who's like totally outside of the industry, who doesn't even know that, change actually affects us? Change is actually a thing we have to navigate through.
Well, I would say it's the ability people have to understand and adapt to change. It's not just about like taking a new tool, accepting a new tool or a new way of working, but more about like grasping why change is happening, like how it affects you, what we can do to integrate it into our work lives. Like being change literate is like being able to read and write in a world that it's constantly moving. It gives you the skills to navigate transitions instead of like feeling change is something that just happens to you.
Yeah. And it's so interesting because throughout my own life as well, there's phases of change that I had to go through. And that's like career change, friendship change, like location change.
There's no escape. Yeah.
There's always something going on in life. And now that I notice is for me specifically, because I have managed change so effectively and I have a deeper understanding of it, I notice that people actually are struggling with change in their day-to-day life, just like meeting up with friends, you know, like following through on dates that they promised. And then it's like,
Yeah.
oh, sorry, you know, things have changed. But I really want to understand, like, you work in internal communication every day. What are people really craving when it comes to how their leaders like talk about change?
I think consciously or unconsciously, we're always watching how leaders communicate. Everything sends a message. Their attitudes, their decisions, their words, even their silences. I mean, all of that shapes culture. And culture answers all the questions. I mean, it answers, is this the place where we can evolve and grow? I mean, people ask themselves that. And that's why in transformation processes, we help leaders become aware of their role as communicators. Because change only really happens if leaders embody it. You can, I mean, we can design a brilliant campaign, but if an employee goes to their manager and the manager says, has no idea what it's about or doesn't value it, then the campaign and the change quickly fades. You know, it loses power.
Right. And so what are most teams missing then?
What's often missing is perspective, this big picture where leadership can connect today's small tasks, actions with the long-term impact. Teams need leaders to share their vision more proactively. And many leaders say, well, I'm open, my door's open, you can ask me whatever, but they have to do it more proactively. People don't go to ask anything. So to make it easier for people to understand what direction the organization is moving in and how each small step is going to contribute to this larger transformation. That's my view.
I understand that view because even when I used to work in corporate, we had a supervisor like, yeah, like come in, I'm always here. And we had glass offices as well. So I guess the design team was like, it would make it feel more inviting. However, not a lot of people went in that room, which was really interesting to see. However, when they moved locations and we were in a temporary situation, we actually had walls that didn't have glass on it, and the supervisor would sit in there. And we found that more people actually visited the supervisor during that time. And I think because there was like a privacy thing going on, like not everyone wants to be seen.
Of course.
You know, like, do you notice that in organizations? Like, how do people navigate through privacy or like that prompt of, yeah, visit me whenever I'm in my office? Do people actually visit?
You put a lot in stake. I mean, we see it in town hall meetings in companies where people don't ask anything. And if you provide a way for people for asking anonymously, they do. They ask a lot of things. I mean, they don't want to feel the pressure of everybody saying, well, why is he asking that? Why is she asking that? So we need to provide this safety, psychological safety to express yourself, you know?
Right. And so you work with companies going through big shifts. So how do you help leaders show up with a legacy mindset instead of like a panic mindset?
Well, the first step is helping leaders become aware of their role and the impact they have on their teams. Once they see that, they begin to understand how change can turn into a virtuous cycle that can expand across the company and even to society, because what we see in the company expands to our families, to our friends. And we use communication to awaken that sense of pride and channel it into action for leaders. So leaders can shift from this reactive mode into a proactive approach. We try to do that with communication.
I love that. And what results do you see from that when someone specifically goes through that transformation?
Even when we do communication and cultural diagnosis, when we have one-on-one with leaders, which is only a diagnostic situation, even that gets a mindset change, because you get to ask people some questions and they start thinking about, hey, what is my role as a communicator, as a communication leader? I haven't thought about it. Well, I should do this. Well, do you do this? I don't. Why don't I? I mean, and they start thinking about things that they could do, and they start being aware of anything that they do and the impact that this gets into their teams. You know, if you communicate, if you recognize people, if you motivate them, if you bring perspective, and when you realize that you don't, you start doing it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's such a powerful shift too when it happens.
Yeah.
Because how do you see organizations or like the company benefiting from that shift?
Well, people start being more aligned. They start being in the same page and understanding what is important for the company. And when you start communication, when you start being more communicative, you interact more with the other areas of the company. And when you understand what the other people are doing, you respect more what they are doing. And then you start collaborating more and things start to flow.
Mm-hmm.
And when you take that, I mean, the spaces, I don't know how to translate this, but the spaces in your head are going to fill in somehow. So if you don't fill those in with real communication, you're going to fill in with anything of your imagination. So
Right.
what we try to do is let's put the real thing on the table, so people stop thinking things that are not true, and stop worrying about things that are not important.
Right. It sounds like you're talking about neuroscience. So when I was studying neural rewiring, people do have imagination, and they have like past experiences, and they have, past expectations and limitations, and they tend to bring that in the present. And so when change does happen, it's not really the reality that they're in is that they're reacting in. It's more so like their past. And then the mind fills up with the imagination and then fulfills that behavior or habit, right? So I guess it's getting in there to see where they're thinking, what they're thinking of, and then replacing that with an actual possibility of an outcome that benefits them.
Yeah, also, I mean, if you have a crisis or a slight crisis in a company, people maybe get aware of that and they start thinking things that could happen. They get afraid. Like if you have constant communication, build confidence with your leader, maybe you can go through that in a more pleasant way than if you get alone and keep on revolving that in your head. So that's why we need to, if we need to be successful, and we need leaders that communicate all the time and are empathetic with people, because the same thing is going to be read differently by different audiences. So you need to understand who you're dealing with, what is a problem for that person, what is something that they would value. So if you know your team, you would know how to make them grow and how to get your goals all together.
Right. And then speaking of slight crisis, with AI becoming such a big part of the workplace, do you see AI literacy planning or playing into how teams grow and communicate with each other? Like, what's your honest take on that? Are you excited or are you cautious?
A little bit of both, but AI literacy is going to be a key factor in how teams grow and communicate. Just like change literacy, where we're talking now, it's not only about learning how to use a tool. It's about understanding its purpose, its limits, and how it impacts people. The teams that thrive will be the ones that can combine AI with the human side of work, with empathy, with creativity, with connection. So for me, AI literacy is less about replacing human communication and more about amplifying it, freeing people from those repetitive tasks so they can focus on conversations and decisions that really matter, that add value to the company.
I love that. So, like, let's be really real for a moment. Are you just a little obsessed with making change feel more human, more fun, more real?
Absolutely. I mean, because if change isn't human and a little fun, it just doesn't stick.
Right. And so how do you go about making it fun? How do you go about engaging people to see change as something they should embrace for positive outcomes?
Well, we design an experience about change to accompany our clients. So we get to know each other. It's like an advertising work where you indulge your intelligence and have fun and have games and learn and have funny facts, and you go through that change in those stages. In endorsement, we get leaders on board. In awareness, we get people all knowing about, well, this is going to happen. In understanding is like the double click, like we say, well, how I know this is going to happen. Well, how is it going to affect me? How am I going to do this different than what I did before? And in adoption is, well, how are we all getting on with this new reality? How this is actually happening? So we go through those stages to make it a success. I mean, if you get the leaders involved, if you get everybody knowing that something new is going on, if you understand how your reality is going to change and what is not going to change, which is really important too. And if you can see the change happening in facts, then we can say we have a success case.
I love that. And everything is an experience. If you can make change and experience as positive, you're actually rewiring the mind to embrace the next stage of change that's going to happen. Because people think like change is permanent. Okay, we did this change, nothing's changing ever again. But there's always a next level of that. So you lead an agency and help people through these major shifts. What keeps you grounded when things feel overwhelming?
Well, I have this little principle I live by: fail to prepare is prepare to fail. So from the moment a challenge comes my way until I deliver it, I always make sure I'm preparing in some way, even if it is something small. That habit not only helps me feel in control, but also keeps the challenge like fresh in my mind and opens me up to new ideas that can make the outcome stronger.
And so when you went through your first like major change that wasn't planned, that you didn't see happening, what was like one thing you did that you remember doing in the moment that really helped you stay grounded and continue forward?
making a great team, like sharing the parts of this huge thing with my partners, with more people, involving experts so that we could delegate the things that we don't know that much and learn from them, and doing the things that we know better and putting the parts together.
I love it. And so like I kind of call that like a legacy leadership, where someone understands what to do when it was never planned. And so how was your idea of leadership change over the years, and what does legacy leadership mean to you now?
Well, I think my idea of leadership has changed dramatically over the years. I saw it in a very old-fashioned way, being the unquestioned figure at the top. And honestly, that's a pretty poor version of leadership. Today, leadership is more about building teams, learning from one another, and achieving good things together. It's less about being the one who knows it all, and more about creating a space where everyone can contribute and grow. I guess that.
I like that. It sounds like you have like a very deep experience with that leadership and that change specter. So I would love to know, what do you think professionals are really craving? Is it more clarity? Is it more connection, more confidence, or is it something else totally different?
I believe professionals want two things. First, development. They ask, what do I take with me from this experience? What do I learn? How does this make me grow? They ask themselves, or unconsciously or consciously, all the time this. And second, connection. How does that, what I do every day, link back to my purpose, to who I am, to my values? So when growth and meaning come together, that's when engagement and motivation really thrive. I think we need to put those together.
What's one thought you have about change and growth you wish more people would understood sooner?
In my experience, I mean, I wish I had understood earlier that every stage has a purpose and a lesson. Growth feels lighter when you allow yourself to enjoy the process instead of just waiting for the outcome. Every person we meet, every challenge we face comes for a reason. When you make that learning, when you make it conscious, change turns from something heavy into something that you can enjoy.
Yeah, it's like honestly just figuring out how to live with change and enjoy life, because change is inevitable, and to bump into change as if it's an enemy or something that's you have to deal with all the time, it kind of gets a bit burdensome, right?
Yeah. You have to let it flow. Yeah.
Imagine how much change happens in a day, and then a month, a week, a year. And every time change happens, you're like, oh my God, change again. It's like it becomes an identity at that point.
Especially this time in history. Yeah.
I think right now we are in a very pivotal moment in our lives where change is really going to happen and affect multiple parts of our life, not just work. I mean, everything from friendships, relationships, to our habits, to our expectations, to how we think, to our behaviors. It's all going to change. You talk about things differently, adding fun, being agile, disrupting the usual. What's the impact of that?
The key, I think, is how we choose to approach change. If you leave it as a drama, it becomes a drama. But if you see it as a learning experience, that's exactly what it turns into. The very same event can feel like heaven or hell. And the difference is in our mindset. Once people shift that perspective, the impact is huge. I mean, they stop just surviving change and start growing through it.
Right.
Which is really lovely. I mean, it's nice seeing that.
It's nice to see someone actually shift into that mindset. But like, what shifts when people see change as a refining process instead of just chaos control, like risk management.
The thing is, when you change completely, like the IT platform of a bank, which is the way people operate for everything. Some people that for 20 years used this and really knew how to operate and to work, and they would teach other people, they suddenly don't know anything or at the same level of someone that is just entering the company. So this is really tough. So what we work on is to shift their mindset so they can take this as a challenge and they can get to know the new system, embrace it, think it as an evolution of the company, and get again where they were before, but with new things and with new learnings in their backpack, you know?
And it must be hard for people going through change when they've done something for 30 plus years, you know, they've been in a company from the ground up, and then all of a sudden it's like a huge upgrade's happening where they're no longer the leader in things anymore. They're no longer the go-to person to lead that change or to invite others to learn something. So it's like, you know, you have to kind of have a space in your mind that there's going to be a point in your life where you're going to know absolutely nothing.
Yeah. You have to get used to that. It's really tough.
Right. Like there's going to be a point absolutely nothing. And the mind, of course, gets so caught up on it because the mind wants to keep you safe. It wants to keep you secure. It wants to keep you in a familiar environment so it can operate and keep you like surviving and going. But now with the economic shifts that we're having, technological shifts, sociological shifts, there's so much shifts happening all at once. Finance, like, I mean, the list gets so long. And so I feel like something important that has to come from this is that people really do need to start partnering and being friends with change and just saying, hey, hi, like, welcome back. 3 months ago you came and you're back again. Okay, what do I got to do now? you know?
Absolutely. If you're really comfortable, maybe you're not learning much. So you have to be a little uncomfortable.
100%. And if you are mentoring someone and someone that's just getting into the change space, someone who, you know, is hearing this for the first time, they didn't know change was a thing, a change coach, a change agency, what would you tell them?
I go all the time to the mindset. I would tell them to prepare mentally for whatever life throws their way. The right mindset, nothing can stop you. Tools, processes, methodologies, all can be learned along the way. But attitude is everything. Openness, resilience, curiosity. That's the good stuff.
I love that because I always say your mind is the driver. And if you don't focus on developing your mind, for example, if you're like in a car and you're driving and you're looking at a car crash that happened, or you're yelling at the person that cut you off, how are you supposed to navigate towards your destiny or your destination, your address, when you're caught up with all of the stuff that's like being thrown around as you move through that challenge, right? It takes a focused mind to say, okay, I'm driving my car, I'm going to press the gas, I'm going to brake when I need, I'm going to check my mirrors, you know, I'm going to get there.
Be here now. Yeah, be here now.
I'm going to be here
Baby
now.
steps.
I'm going to get to the destination. There's a lot of stuff going on, but I'm going to focus on driving this car to get to where I need to be. So definitely mindset is everything. And it's so interesting how people overlook that because that's literally who we are. Our mind is what creates our experience. When you look back one day, what's the thing you'll be proud of that you refined in your work or your team or just yourself?
I think I'll be most proud of staying in beta mode. Always studying, reading, learning, keeping my mind open, never feeling like I had arrived, constantly refining how I work and how I lead and share leadership with others, inspiring my team and the people I work with to do the same.
I love that. That's such a beautiful takeaway from this because
Thank you.
I feel like everything that you're doing now is totally needed forever. Like there is no way you cannot have clients. The future is definitely going to need you. So I'm really happy that we connected.
Me too.
with a future.
Really lovely to know you.
Yeah, just with a future-minded person, developing this agency is not only for the present, but it's also for the future. And that's something that we definitely encourage people to think in, to start to think ahead, to start to prepare for things like you mentioned, starting to just embrace change as a whole. I'm really happy we connected and excited to see what more you come up with. Do you have any information where someone can reach out to you?
Oh, I'm on LinkedIn. We're on the internet. We're on Instagram. I'm open to answer any question and connect with anybody. Really happy to do that. Amazing. We love what we do. We are really blessed to work at something that we like. So that's great.
100%. It's all about putting your passion into purpose and working the plan and planning the work and making sure that you touch enough organizations and people with the benefits of change and where they're going in their lives. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.